All right. So at the beginning of the school year, I actually wasn't here at Front Range. I had switched to a different school, and I lasted about a month until I felt a tug to come back to Front Range. And so I came here early September, and I had meetings with all my teachers just to go over what I missed and how to make everything up for the first month of school. And I had my meeting with Mr. Spector, and he was trying to explain this complex capstone project thing that he and Mr. Butler visioned up for the seniors this year. And he handed me this piece of paper and said a simple phrase, "So, Kaitlyn, what do you want?" I had no idea. I knew that ever since I was a little girl, I loved the arts. And as I've gotten older, I've fallen in love with filmmaking and editing. And so I knew that I wanted to do something with film where I could tell stories. But we also needed a virtue for first semester. And I decided that I would Google virtues, and the first one that came up was acceptance, so that sounded good. And so I had these two ideas, and I wasn't sure how to put them together. And after talking with peers, teachers, and just thinking about it a lot, it ended up being that I was going to tell my story through film. Now, talking about myself is next to impossible for me. Everybody knows pretty much the facts about my life. I'm an open book. I'm 18. I'm a Christian. I love the arts. I've been involved in the arts for years. I have an incurable autoimmune disease that I was diagnosed with my freshman year. I've struggled with self-harm and an eating disorder, and I'm also a horrible public speaker. So when I sat down to film, I was completely I was expecting it to go so much easier than it actually did. Since I'm an open book and I'm honest, I figured that I'd just be able to roll right along and tell my story. However, it wasn't so easy. I found out that I was fake. I'm kind of surfacey. I just tell the bare minimum, and I smile through everything. And so one day, it was kind of a rough day. I was really anxious, stressed out, long day of work, argument with my parents, just bad day. I sat down and decided that would be a good day to film for some reason. And when I did that, I was trying to be surfacey and fake again. However, everything just kind of boiled up, and I started to cry. And crying turned into bawling, and it was all on camera. And eventually, I just collected myself, turned off the camera, and went to bed. And the next morning, I deleted the video. Now, since I've been honest and open, or so I thought I had been, I always liked that about myself. However, first semester really taught me that I'm not exactly that way. If you asked me at the beginning of first semester if I thought my life was hard, I would have said, yeah, or no, it's not. It's easy. It's nothing special. But now, the truth, it's very challenging and very difficult. And this year has been really hard for me. One of the lessons I learned throughout this school year was that denial is super tempting. The video that I was crying in showed something that I didn't want to admit, and that was that I was hurting. And so while first semester I didn't fully learn the virtue of acceptance, I did learn very important things for second semester. So second semester rolled along, and I had to pick a career that I wanted to study. I chose graphic design because with all my filming and everything I learned first semester, I found out that I could do this thing called title sequencing. Now, title sequencing is when text and images are brought together. So Marvel is shown through the comics and shown through just like fast-moving images. And so it kind of gives the theme of what Marvel is. It's comics, but it's also epic. It's superheroes. And so a lot of title sequencers have a graphic design major. So I decided to study that. I got the opportunity to talk to a Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design teacher about their graphic design program, and I learned that now is the perfect opportunity to go into that field because technology is just booming, and the industry itself is just in need of graphic designers. Anything visual that you see on your screens are, it's visually appealing. So behind that is a graphic designer, whether it's from logo design, 3D animation, or title sequencing. So throughout this whole experience of learning about design, I continued, obviously, with my senior year. And I was hoping, since first semester was kind of rough, that second semester would be a little bit better. In years past, like I said, I love the arts. I have been involved in theater. And theater was always like something that I could go to just kind of escape and like be really happy, and it was just something I really enjoyed. So this semester, I kind of relied on the spring musical to be my happy place and my light in a world that just seems so dark and not really worth it anymore. So I tried out for the musical, and I ended up not getting a part. And there was a whole bunch of kind of political things that went down with all of that, and it ended up really hurting me and really affecting me and kind of starting the downhill spiral for the end of my senior year. About a week after that, one of my very best friends left Front Range, and I'd known them for 3 years, and I thought that we were really close, but they left without saying goodbye, and that hurt a lot too. I kept count up to this point, how many friends I had lost. Sorry. And I was up to 9. So that really affected me. And then I mentioned earlier that I've struggled with an eating disorder. So my eating disorder is that I overexercise. And it started last year with severe shin splints, and now this year it's turned into plantar fasciitis on top of that. But yet I still continue to exercise and run because I'm addicted to it, and it's a disorder. So along with everything else not going right, that was added on top. So during this whole period of time, I was still trying to be fake and surfacey and happy all the time. And so I started experiencing panic attacks because I was stuffing everything down. I had a place where I would drive to during the school day just to escape and just cry and yell because I felt like I didn't have anybody else to talk to, so I had to be alone when I could experience actual emotion. In school, my teachers began to notice. They started asking me if I was doing okay, and I still smiled and would say I'm fine. My friends began to notice still the I'm fine answer, and I began to shut out God, and I got into 2 toxic relationships just because I wanted to feel like somebody cared and somebody loved me, and I just was denying everything and just being so fake all the time. And this behavior continued until about April 12th. And I know that's only a couple weeks ago. But I was kind of caught red-handed in my lies and all of my mess that I was in. And I was caught by my parents, which are the last people I would want to know everything, but they did. And I was expecting, when I came home, that since they knew everything, it was going to be like no life anymore. Everything was going to be taken away, my phone, my car, my anything, you name it. I was just trying to prepare myself for like my parents' wrath. But instead, they brought me into the kitchen and asked me one simple phrase. So, Kaitlyn, What do you want? And then in that moment, it just clicked. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. I was doing the same things and expecting to gain some sort of acceptance and happiness of my story and my life by just denying everything and ignoring everything. But I was never going to get there, obviously. And so, what do I want? I wanted to learn about graphic design. Okay, I did that. I wanted to film. Okay, I did that. Now, I want acceptance, and I want to be happy, and I want to be able to accept myself and my story. How do I do that? So I made drastic changes in the past few weeks in my life. And I've just, even though it's only been a couple weeks, I've felt this peace and just comfort, and I've never felt so close to God and my parents and just the friends that have stuck with me through everything. It's been a complete 180, and I'm really grateful for everybody who has stuck with me through this journey. And in the end, I have gotten what I want. I've been able to accept the pieces of myself that I haven't been for years. And I actually did make a film, and I'm going to show you guys to end my speech.
This project has extremely challenged me because every single time I've sat in front of a camera, it's been silent. Every time that I film anything other than to do with my personal life and my personal story, I'm able to just roll right along. But this has been ridiculously challenging. I want to say stuff. I have things on my mind, but nothing comes out. When it got to like a couple weeks ago, I was starting to get really, really scared because I didn't have anything for my final product of a video. Or at least that's what I thought. This project challenged me to film almost every day. um, I found random things, and what I found was I captured an entire year of my life, all on film. And while I didn't achieve this perfect sit down and 5 minutes long, share my entire life story with you, share my entire diagnosis of Crohn's, share every challenge, every hospital visit, everything. While I didn't necessarily get one consecutive tape of all of that, I did get my story. I did get my life. And I did get it on film. And as I was looking at what I had to edit and what I had left, it clicked. I'm a struggling perfectionist. But when did acceptance become perfection? Actually, acceptance, I've learned, isn't about perfection. It's about taking what is in the moment right there and there. Like, what